Welcome to the Your Life After Tech podcast. This is episode 5. I'm Debbie Levitt. Don't forget to check out our lifeaftertech.info multiverse, including our book, Discord community, coaching, and more. Because you might be done with tech, tech might be done with you, or you're thinking about adding non-tech work to your tech career. Today's guest is Jenny Shirey, Jenny Shirey, and you can find her on Instagram at Jenny Teaches Wine, JennyTeachesWine. We'll be talking about how she's staying in tech, but she has been studying and taking courses related to wine. She's even working in a wine bar and has some interesting future plans that include staying in tech and working outside of tech in wine. Let's get to know Jenny.
Hey everyone, I'm Jenny Shirey. I have been working in tech for many years, since 2011, and working in design since 2005 when I started my career as a graphic designer. I went back to school to get a master's degree at Carnegie Mellon, a Master of Design in 2009, and then in 2011 switched over to user experience design, worked at some smaller companies, some bigger companies. I also even ended up working as a manager in Copenhagen, Denmark for about 3.5 years, and then came back to the Bay Area. I was really enjoying all of this and then decided that I was feeling kind of burnt out. We can talk about that later. Decided to start my own consulting business. And so that was something that I started in January 2020. And that was the year that, of course, everything changed.
Oh, that's a tough year to start a business.
Mm-hmm. It was tough, but my business has survived. It's called Beverage UX. It's a consulting business of one. It's me. That was also the year that I realized I wanted to explore things other than UX. So in 2020, I also started getting into learning about wine seriously, and that has really morphed into a new career path, or perhaps I should say potential career path. I'm still figuring it out.
Parallel career path?
Exactly. Yeah. At this point, I am also teaching classes about wine at the San Francisco Wine School. I'm working as a part-time bartender at a woman-owned wine bar in Soma, San Francisco called Wine Down. And I have also worked at a wine shop for a few months. So I'm really just exploring a lot of different options in the wine industry while still keeping my consulting business. So yeah, nice to meet everyone and nice to see you, Debbie.
Yeah, thanks so much. I was so interested in your story when it popped up in a Slack that we're both in. So you've talked a little bit about your tech background and where your tech career brought you. I'm curious how wine popped up as a possibility for you.
Yeah. Well, living in San Francisco, we're so close to Napa and Sonoma. I had been going to taste wine in these places for many years. And I realized during the pandemic, I had a lot of extra time, as many of us did. I was very fortunate that, I was already working from home. So I was safe. Of course, I didn't have a lot of clients, so that was a bummer. But with that extra time, I thought, why don't I go ahead and start learning about this thing that I really love, wine? And I had been thinking about possibly taking a formal class, a formal exam called the introductory exam in the Court of Master Sommeliers. The reason I had thought about that was I had seen this documentary on Netflix called Somm, Into the Bottle. I don't know if any of you have seen it, but it was pretty, I think a lot of people watched it and they got really excited about this idea of these like super knowledgeable sommeliers that pass this test. It's said to be the hardest test in the world. That is obviously not the test that I did. That was a level 4 and I did level 1. So
on your
there are
way.
many levels to go. Yeah, on my way. So I passed that, and then I think I just got the bug of, wow, learning about wine. This is not just about wine. It's about the earth. It's about biology. It's about science, chemistry. it's about history, it's about culture, and then also I just love traveling. So for me, traveling to places and being able to experience the food and the wine of that place is so special and important. I'm a huge foodie. I just love eating all kinds of food, learning about how wine pairs with different kinds of foods and what cultures make what types of wine has just been so much fun. So really, I think that's what drew me to it is wine is culture and also wine is just really fun. And at the same time, I was starting to become really disillusioned with the tech industry. And I think during COVID, a lot of us became disillusioned with kind of capitalism in general. So it was fun to just say, this is something that I truly enjoy, that brings me joy, that brings a lot of people joy. And I want to pursue it more.
Yeah, really interesting. Thank you for that. So you're juggling a lot of things in the wine multiverse right now. You're doing some bartending, which probably gives you the opportunity to be junior sommelier of some sort. Would that be
Yeah.
accurate?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, the term sommelier, it sounds so fancy, but it really just means anyone that serves wine.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so yes, I guess I could say I'm a sommelier. um, the wine bar I'm at is very casual. Like, their mission is actually to make awesome wine down to earth. So I would probably not call myself that there because, I don't want to use a word that might make people feel intimidated.
Okay.
That said, I am thinking about taking the certified sommelier exam, which is the level 2 within the Court of Master Sommeliers. So if I pass that, I could call myself a certified sommelier. I'm actually taking a totally different exam on Monday, so we can talk about that too. But yeah,
No,
exams
tell
are
us about it
interesting.
now.
Thank you.
Yeah, tell me. So you've passed level 1, you're thinking about level 2, but it sounds like in parallel there's something else you're studying that has an exam. Yeah, sure, tell us more.
Yeah, this is funny because it's so different from user experience design where you learn on the job. And with wine, you learn on the job, no question. You have to learn those service aspects and also just understanding what people really want. And a lot of people don't know how to talk about wine. So you kind of have to decode what they're saying they like. And you learn that with time and you learn how to be gracious and even bartending, like I seriously have started to become a little bit of that therapist bartender. There have been times when someone's crying at the bar and I'm, there to listen, and that's fine. And when people come in and they're celebrating, we can celebrate together, and that's really fun too. So the credentials, though, these are really helpful just to make sure that you have your theory. And of course, it's also a shorthand for anybody who's looking to hire you. If you don't have 10 years or 15 years of experience working in wine, it's a shorthand to say this person does know their theory. And if it's with the Court of Master Somms, you have a service portion of the exam as well. So this person can do formal service. The one that I chose to take on Monday is called the Certified Specialist of Wine exam. It's through the Society of Wine Educators, and that's because I absolutely love teaching and I love their approach on education. And so this one's a purely theoretical exam. It is difficult. It has a 40% first time pass rate. So we'll see. I will say to the listeners, at this point, when this podcast has been released, I will know whether or not I passed. And you can find out by going to my Instagram because I will certainly be posting there either way.
When
If
did they
I
give you
do
the
not pass,
results?
then,
How
oh,
long does it take?
instantaneously. So thank
Okay, so
goodness.
you'll tell us and we'll get it in the show notes. So
On
we
Monday. Yeah.
yeah, oh
Oh,
great. Okay.
perfect.
Yeah, cuz the show's not going live
So,
for a few
yeah.
weeks. So please let me know. I'll be excited for you and hopeful, and even if you don't make it for some reason, it sounds like you get another chance.
Yeah, you have to pay a little bit of money, of course. All of these tests have fees, but you certainly can take it as many times as you want.
So I'm curious about kind of the short or long-term future for this. We know that many of us would like to stay in tech if we can get the work, but we don't know what the future might be. That's an unknown. What's the future for the wine multiverse for you? What is the goal for you maybe business-wise?
That's exactly what I'm trying to find out right now. I actually have signed up for an online class to create a business plan because I've realized that for me, I need deadlines to get things done. I can certainly set my own deadlines and say I want to make a business plan by the end of the year, but it's better for me when I have homework and I have a structure to follow.
Okay.
So I've been thinking for the past year and a half about possibly opening up either a wine shop or a wine bar or a combination of both. I've looked into things like legally what would be required in terms of alcohol permitting, and I've looked a little bit into financing and pricing, and I've been testing out working for other people.
Right.
But I haven't actually come down and put the numbers into a plan, and I haven't said exactly this is my audience, this is my product, this is what I want to sell. Basically, this is the whole business plan. That has been really intimidating to me, to be honest. It's not something I've needed to do for my UX consulting business. For UX consulting, I already knew UX very well, and there's not really any startup costs. I already had a laptop. I could just, I mean, it's creating a website, letting people know that you're available. It is difficult to get clients, so that's a challenge with UX consulting,
Sure.
is that sales part of it. But it's completely different from having $100 to $300,000 to open up a wine bar and potentially renovate and get equipment and wine and product and all of that.
And I've
So
heard that
I
a lot of
have
that
forced
is the
myself.
license.
Mhm. Oh, the license is, I wouldn't say the biggest cost. I think the
Oh.
equipment is the biggest cost.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
from what I've heard. Yeah, but the license is pricey as well. And honestly, that is the biggest time hurdle from what I've heard. So it's just completely different. And I'm forcing myself to face my fears, make the business plan. So there are options. All of this is to say, if someone is thinking about other avenues, it's really easy to get into a rut of just saying, I want to do this, I have this dream, without thinking about the realities of it. And to me, it's really important to take small steps towards it. So, experimenting with, do I even like this type of work? That's why I've worked for other people for the past year to see if I enjoy teaching, selling wine, bartending. It's not that I'm doing it for the money. It's more to find out, it's like an internship. Do I actually enjoy doing this? And what can I learn from this experience?
Yeah,
So
and
that's
that's a
how
great
I've been
idea.
approaching it.
I think that's really smart is to try it out. It's almost like people know I'm not a huge fan of the minimum viable product idea, but it's kind of like taking that baby step where it's still a very low risk thing because you haven't laid out a lot of money to do some teaching or work for someone else. And you can start to get deeper into the industry and see, is this really where I would want to put more of my time, energy, or money?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I also did hire a career coach last year who I love. She is part cheerleader and part challenger. So she has been really wonderful at asking me questions to see, help me decide what I really want to do. But also, I have a lot of self doubt, and I did need someone to just say, you can definitely do this, and maybe you're not even dreaming big enough. And for me, that was a really worthwhile investment, I think, just to push myself to continue moving. I think also when you do spend money on something, then you take it seriously too. So she's expensive, but worth it. So I would highly recommend career coaches if you find someone that you love and click with.
Yeah, great idea. I do recommend that as well. So I wanted to ask you, because I'm asking everybody this, thinking about the wine business and the directions you can go with it, how would you say that that matches some of what I call your core personal qualities or your key personality traits?
Yeah. I love learning. I place a high value on being an expert in something. I don't know that that's like a personality trait, but it's definitely something when I took a strengths finder exam, that was something that came up as a strength.
Okay.
I also love teaching other people. So spreading this knowledge. So it's like accumulating knowledge and then sharing it with others.
Mm-hmm.
So that really fits well, especially the leading wine tastings or teaching classes, which I am already doing now. And then I think the other part is the independence. But I would say UX consulting also fits that value. So it's not that I need to start a wine business to have that value. I could start any business, and I have already started a business. So that itch is already being scratched. I think it's just trying to decide what will make me happy, especially now in this sort of second half of my life. What do I really want to spend my time on?
Yeah, and sometimes our hobbies and our passions can turn into businesses that people will pay for, and sometimes they're just better as hobbies and they're not exactly money makers. So it sounds like you've run into something that has some earning potential.
Hmm. Yeah, that's such a good point, Debbie, because like I also love writing and I have written some creative nonfiction, some memoir type of writings. I don't consider any type of a money making business at some point. Maybe I'll self publish, but that's not something that I'm expecting to turn into a viable career option, especially living in San Francisco. Um, but wine, drinking wine, and there's many wine bars and wine shops and wine clubs and wine classes. So people do make money and sometimes really good money doing this. So it seems like a viable option. Then again, doing the business plan will definitely help me figure that out as well.
Yeah, it sounds like the business plan, among other things, might help you understand, can you work for yourself? Might you have to continue working for someone else? And maybe how long that runway is before you'd be able to branch out more on your own. That's just my guess.
Exactly. Yeah. I've realized about myself that I don't mind working for someone else if we fit well together, but I think that was one of my issues with tech is I found myself continuing to be in these companies where I have a fairly kind and laid back and not laid back, I would say I have a kind and empathetic working style and management style. That often did not fit well with tech in general, I would say. And a lot of tech leadership within these companies, especially these highly technical B2B companies that I was working within, it was very aggressive and kind of wanting people to put more and more in and be very critical of each other, just in a way that really didn't fit my personality. Whereas I've been finding that in the wine industry, not everyone I'm meeting is a great fit for me, but I have been finding some people that I feel like I work really well with. So that's definitely an option.
Now, I'm going to ask you a question which you don't have to answer, but I see a lot of talk on LinkedIn and some other places where people say, and I'm just going to make this up as an example, I don't want to be a bartender. I don't want to work at Walmart. These are low paying jobs. And so they're off the table. I live in an expensive place. I don't want to do that. Or maybe they even think it's beneath them. You don't have to tell us what being a bartender pays, but maybe how do you get past some of the thoughts or the self-talk around, oh my gosh, do I want to go be a bartender at an hourly rate or for the tips where it might be a lower number than you're used to?
Thinking about it as being sort of beneath someone to serve other people, I think does rub me the wrong way, because I think that there is a lot of joy in serving other people and giving other people a pleasurable experience that is like the highlight of their day. You're really making their day better. I also really do love that educational aspect. So anytime I can teach someone about wine while I'm, you know, helping them make a choice on what wine they want to drink, explaining that this one has pyrazines and what does that even mean? How does that taste? Those sorts of things. Like if they say they like Chablis, we only have California wine at our wine bar. So what would they enjoy if they like Chablis or Beaujolais or something? That part is still really fun to me. That said, this is all new. So I do think that after years and years of doing anything, you can start to be a little bit jaded. And that's why I think it's great for people to realize they can always grow, they can always change, and it's okay to change your career. You don't have to stay in one thing. Just because you chose it doesn't mean you have to stay there forever.
Yeah, very true. Looking back at some of your arc, the last at least handful of years, is there anything you feel that might have been a mistake or a regret or something you wish you could have done differently?
That's such a good question. And it is something that I have been reflecting on lately. I honestly think that everything in my life has been a learning experience. So I would say that when I look back at my past choices, I made the best decision for myself with the information that I had at that time. And so, in that sense, a lot of choices that I made maybe in my 20s or 30s, I wouldn't make today, but that doesn't mean that it was the wrong choice at that time. Perhaps the only thing that I wish I had done differently is that in some tech companies, I have been around some people who are pretty toxic, who disparaged the work of designers. So either my work or people that I managed. I'm talking about like product people and engineers who didn't respect designers' work. And sometimes this would really come out in the comments they would make, in just being dismissive, in not being willing to work together with me or my team. And I wish that I had stood up for myself and my team more and said, this is not okay, and we deserve to be treated with respect. And I think at that time, especially being a woman in a male-dominated industry, being soft-spoken, I don't like conflict, that was really hard for me to do. And a lot of times I would just shy away from it and just allow things to happen that really were not good for my mental health or the mental health of my team. So that's the only regret that I have, is that I didn't say, this is not okay and you need to be more respectful.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I'm sure a lot of people identify with that, especially when our jobs can feel so insecure. We have to decide, how much do I rock the boat when I don't know how that's going to come back to bite me later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I will say I have often made the decision to leave a company rather than staying in a situation that I felt was toxic and damaging for my own mental health. And maybe for some people that is the best choice. For other people, it might actually be a really good growth experience to stand up for yourself, to stay and try to make things better. And often we also don't have the financial means to leave, especially in today's tech job situation where there's not enough jobs and too many people looking. So I do think it's possible to set boundaries and just really be mindful of what is good for your mental health and what is not good for your mental health. And part of that is why I ended up working for myself. And that's also something that I'm considering as I'm thinking about what I want to do next, is what's going to fit with my life and my emotional needs too.
Yeah, thanks. That definitely makes sense. So we might have listeners or viewers who are thinking about leaving tech or adding non-tech work to their tech universe. What advice would you like to give them?
Yeah, I would say if you still enjoy tech and you have a job that you love and you just want something else, it's fine to have that something else just be a hobby. It doesn't need to pay your bills. Not everything needs to be a side gig. So I think it's lovely when we find things that we can just really enjoy doing, and we enjoy doing them in our time that we're not, earning money or working for someone else. Tech has so many good things about it in terms of, often we're able to work remotely. The pay is wonderful. If you are working full time within a company, benefits like healthcare and retirement money, all of those are things that I kind of took for granted. Paid time off. When I started working for myself, I realized, oh, I had a really cushy job and maybe I didn't realize it, or I took a lot of it for granted. Now, that said, if you have become disillusioned with tech like I did, and you're wanting just less of it in your life, that's also fine. There's a lot of ways to, you could do something like I did and become more of a consultant or freelancer and just have less hours. And then it feels less all consuming. And I think that was really healthy for me. Now I can choose to work with clients that I really love, that my values align with theirs, and I enjoy that time with them. So I didn't have to completely leave tech. And to be honest, I don't know if I ever will. I think I'll continue consulting. I'm really enjoying the research projects I'm doing right now, the user research projects. So I think, taking small steps to kind of figure out what you want. Maybe you go in this direction, a couple of steps, that's not quite right. You go in this direction. That's okay. You can just keep experimenting. You don't have to have everything figured out right away and you also don't have to commit to something for the rest of your life. You can always try something out and make a decision that that's not for you.
Thank you. All great reminders. Got a couple more questions. How can people get in touch with you, follow you, do business with you, take your class? Give us some ways that we can find you.
Yeah. Well, I still am doing consulting work. I've actually pivoted over into strategic user research. I love talking with people, and I love helping companies figure out who are they really making their products for. And that's funny because it has so much overlap with what I'm thinking about with wine as well. Who do I want to make products for? So I love helping other companies find that out as well. And I've been really enjoying that type of work. So if anyone needs that help with that, you can find me at beverageux.com, and of course on LinkedIn under Jenny Shirey. If you're interested in wine, I do teach classes on wine, and I post about them on Instagram. So at Jenny Teaches Wine, Jenny Teaches Wine, all one word. You can find me on Instagram. That's where I'll announce, for example, when I'm teaching at the San Francisco Wine School, I teach a lot of classes on California wine there. And they are virtual, so you can join from anywhere in the world, and they can even ship wine samples to you for the tasting, so that's really fun. And I will also be posting there whenever I decide what's next, if I'm doing any kind of an online wine club, or maybe even opening up a physical space or just doing pop-ups. So stay tuned. I would love to have you follow me there and engage with me, and I will definitely respond to messages on Instagram as well.
Excellent, excellent. I was thinking so many people ask me about coming from especially UX, and they say, what can I do with my transferable skills? And they think about going laterally in a sense from one tech job to another tech job. Like, I'm a UX researcher. Where else can I do UX research? And I really hope that hearing the stories you've been telling will help that light bulb go on for people, where you can use your core personal qualities. You can use some of the skills that you put into tech, and they're just going to pop up somewhere else. And you might not feel like you're applying UX research or design specifically to wine, but because these are part of who you are, you're still bringing it. It's still you.
Absolutely. Also, I've been creating these experiences for people and thinking about customer journeys for so many years now that I can think about that in relation to someone who's signing up for a wine class for the first time, or somebody who is coming to a wine bar and trying to figure out what they want to drink. What is that journey like? All of this is very, very transferable. It's just thinking about someone else's experience, how you can make that better, how you can make it an experience where people will want to come back. So maybe we call them guests instead of users, but it's still thinking about like how do you serve the needs of other people and what are their unmet needs that you can serve, and maybe there's like a new opening in the market for.
Love it. Love it. You're speaking my language and you know it. So I always like to try to give guests the last word. So anything else you want to add to what has been already said?
Ooh, maybe I would just add, I do really believe that life should be fun and enjoyable, and something that whatever you're doing with your time should be most of the time something that you enjoy doing. So if you are in a situation where your job fills you with dread on a daily basis, I'm sure there is some other solution out there for you that can make you a sustainable living and still allow you to enjoy the people that you're with, enjoy the work that you're creating.
Well, great, Jenny. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Debbie. I really appreciate it. This was a lot of fun.
It's whatever, and it's never